Have you thought about the feeling of being completely vulnerable, trapped on a mountain road in a wheelchair, and all of a sudden, everything around you starts to change dramatically? Imagine yourself in this scenario, where the silence of the quiet is abruptly interrupted by a sound that is different, a kind of earthquake, the rocks that separate the heights of the mountains. Have you ever gone through this? This is a scene that looks like the output of a thriller, but in fact, it happened to be the truth. Anyone who has experienced a moment of pure adrenaline and courage. Stay with me until the very end, because that's all you're going to find out right now might surprise you in a way you never thought possible. This true story reveals the deep connection between the human being and his four-legged friends, a dog that, without waiting for a command or recognition, and become a true hero. It is not only a narrative is exciting, but it's a testimony to a powerful instinct for self-protection, fidelity, and courage that the animal has inside of him. Have you ever wondered what it really does to a dog, a real shield, as they are able often to surpass their own limits to save someone you love? This is the story we tell is a good example of this. It is a reminder that dogs are not just pets, but beings that are capable of acts of bravery in times of extreme danger. Before I reveal it to the critical moment of stress, it's important that you can see in the opening scene a woman in a wheelchair walking quietly along the road to the mountain, accompanied by your trusty companion. Everything seemed to be normal, to have a routine of peace and a connection with nature, and even then, the unexpected happened. And it is at this moment that the story shows the strength of the animal instincts, courage that comes out of nowhere, and how a simple act can change a life forever. Stay with me, because of what is to come will hold even more, and taking the shot showing that, at times, in the most bravura was born in the hearts of the more unexpected. And so, in that moment of silence, almost everyone, something within each and every one of us, is fired. His courage seemed to be asleep emerged, boosting the stock, which had, until then, seemed to be the impossible. It is as if, in the face of danger, and a deep connection to the very essence of human beings to wake up, to reveal a power that not even imagined to have. Each and every detail of that moment was engraved in my memory as a lesson of resilience and hope, reminding us that, even under the most adverse circumstances, there is a spark of bravery ready to be turned on. If you can identify with this story, or even if you felt moved by this idea that we all have within us the potential hidden in it, leave it here in the comments on your experience or opinion. Your participation is very important for the exchange of emotions that will continue to grow and inspire more and more people. You can also like the video because it will help to strengthen our community and to carry this message to anyone who needs to hear that. At times, the greatest strength comes from the inside out. And, of course, if you want to keep up with stories like this, subscribe to the channel. It's a way of showing that you value this content and want it to be part of a network of people who believe in the courage, hope, and the strength of the collective. And so together, we can continue to explore these moments that remind us of what really matters to you, keeping the conversation lively and full of meaning. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely at this stage of the journey that a lot of people are starting to realize something that, until then, seemed to be an invisible, the true power that lies within them. It is not a physical force or something. It manifests itself only in the achievement of the objectives of the external, but rather a force that is born from the understanding of himself and of its connection with what really matters to you. When you start to look at your decisions and the choices that we made it up to here, he begins to understand that a lot of them have been shaped by the limiting beliefs, fears held that, in the majority of cases, you don't even realize. And it is precisely in this moment of reflection, that is, the transformation starts to happen in a quiet, almost unnoticeable, but in depth. This is the stage where you begin to realize the truth which is hidden by the back of many of the obstacles that we all face is, for the most part of the time, it's a matter of mindset. The same old story that we tell ourselves that we are not able to, that it's impossible to move, or the world is against us. All of these are the narratives that we create, and which often remain hidden in the subconscious mind, acting as the true ending to the economy. And if you become aware of these stories, and it starts to gain a whole new perspective, it's like opening a window in a room in the dark, letting in a light that shows you what really is out there, lurking in the shadows. From that moment on, the impact of the decision to see beyond the surface, if it is clear, you will come to understand that every choice, every action, is an opportunity to rewrite that narrative is built in. It is not a simple change, fast or guaranteed, but it's a journey of self-discovery that takes courage and honesty. And to the extent that truth is hidden comes to light, it reveals the aspects that may preferissimos to hide our deepest fears, our doubts, and even in those small areas of comfort, even though it seems to be secure, in fact, they keep us from moving forward. This is the stage of revelation. It is a real turning point. Because of the recognition of these things built into it, you begin to understand that they are not invincible. On the contrary, is a sign that there is an opportunity for transformation, then and there, in his own mind. This is how you find out that your worst enemy is not outside, but within, in his own account of the constraints. And this realization is liberating, as it gives a sense of power that you just might imagine to own up to that time. From there on, it becomes all the more clear the change does not depend exclusively on external factors, in such a way or to an impossible situation, but the conscious decision to challenge the stories within, to rewrite the script which you have created yourself. It is at this point that the day-to-day increasing, because of the understanding of the impact of the truth that is hidden, you will begin to see the possibilities before you, invisible, to imagine a different future, one more closely aligned with your essence, your wildest dreams, and deep. Now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is where many people get lost on the journey. The discovery of this fact is emerging as a key that can open doors to unimaginable, but it also raises a number of questions. How to deal with the emotions that come into play, how to keep the guts to keep going, even when things seem to fall apart, and most importantly, how to make this disclosure in a major driving force which drives the changes in the real and long-lasting. These questions bring us to a tipping point on this journey where the practice, the discipline, the emotional, and the constant search for self-knowledge becomes essential. The truth is hidden, and often it is a mirror which reflects not only our limitations, but also our potential more difficult. When we get you to face the mirror with a spirit of courage, you start to realize that we are much more than we thought, and, in the process, we discover that what appeared to be an insurmountable barrier can, in fact, be an opportunity for growth, empowerment, and true transformation within. It's like a seed that, when planted in the earth, sure, it germinates, grows, and thrives, bringing to the surface a force that no one can take away from you. And to understand these dynamics, it is clear that the path to genuine change are in the lookout for insight, for that dive in your own heart. After all, it is the depth of his understanding that we can find the answers to the most important ones, the ones that cause us to act with more purpose, clarity, and, above all, a vote of confidence in our ability to change our reality. And, at this time, the journey is no longer just an external success, and it turns out to be a real search for the self, for the things that you truly are and can be. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me." I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely at this point that a lot of people are beginning to find out the impact of the transformation of the interior. When you stop to think about their decisions in the past, you know that a lot of them have been influenced by a mindset that, too often, has been shaped by the beliefs, or both, for the experiences that have carried from childhood, or even outside expectations that you will never have a sense of the truth of who you really are. And when you understand it, the scene changes completely. The journey is no longer a frantic dash back to the results surface, and turns out to be a genuine exploration of what is most authentic about each one of us. The truth is hidden. It often is not only in our own head, in my thoughts and repetitive that you create, as if they were the absolute truth, but that, in essence, they are the only buildings that we learn from time to time. Such a facility will often keep us from seeing the possibilities that are right in front of our eyes, because we are caught up in a routine for the mind, and reinforces the fear, the doubt, the insecurity. At this time, the key is to understand that the real change happens when we question those beliefs. When we started to deconstruct the narrative that has been imposed upon, and began a new chapter in its history, which is based on the core of our deepest truth. And it is this relation that requires courage, because to confront what we believe to be a difficult one, it's like opening a door to that. There was a time I was locked up, but in doing so, we found out that what seemed like a scary, in fact, it was a part of us that is yearning for recognition and freedom. In this case, the impact is not just in our minds, but in our hearts and minds. You feel a lightness to understand that we're able to decide decide what is really important and that our actions align with our deepest values. And in doing so, we begin to live a more full, more real. The journey of self-discovery also reveals a behind the scenes of your own health. Why do we react in certain ways? Why do we have certain fears and desires seem uncontrollable? When we dive into these findings, we realize that a lot of these unseen forces have created for ourselves. We have a range of choices that we have made in the course of time, a lot of times, with no consciousness of the church. And there you have it. The big change is this. We take the responsibility for those choices, instead of being the victims of circumstance or of one's own limitations imagined. It's as if suddenly you would have the key to rewriting history, to discover a new route, more in line with who you really are. This change in mentality doesn't happen overnight, of course. This is a building on the daily, is a very common practice in autoquestionamento of autoconvicção and the courage to carry on, even when your path seems uncertain and full of obstacles. And in the process, we discovered that it is the truth. The more powerful it is inside of us, who are always there waiting to be recognized. It is a journey of self-discovery, that in fact, it is a day of liberation, when we are able to see beyond the surface, beyond what we've been taught or enforced. We have found a strength that is often not thought to have. Now, I want you to go even deeper on this topic, because they understand the impact of this change in our lives is the key. When we align our actions with this new sense of awareness, everything around you start to reflect this change. The decisions become more and more assertive. Relationships are strengthened based on the genuineness, and the challenges before it seem to never be removed and will now be opportunities for growth. It is at this point that we realize that true strength comes from within, and that it is our ability to change our reality. It is close at hand, as long as you have the courage to look within and face that which is hidden. This is a journey of transformation. It also reveals a behind the scenes of our impact on the world. Because of the radical change on the inside, we inspire others to do the same. Our history before it is marked by the limitations. You have any questions turns out to be a source of inspiration for anyone who is also looking for a change. And then, in the share of authenticity, we create an invisible web of connections that reinforce the importance of being true to ourselves and live our truth without fear of judgment or rejection. It is a kind of domino effect. That is, once started, it spreads out in a natural way, creating a chain of impact that goes well beyond what is of our own growth. Considering all this, it becomes clear that the secret to the transformation is not in the search of something external to it, but to acknowledge the power that exists in all of us. And in doing so, we've broken the chains of our own limitations, and to give space to a new version of ourselves, to give birth. Every decision that we make on the basis of this new perspective, that is, a seed is planted in the direction of living a life more in tune, more conscious, and above all, more fulfilling. And so, the journey continues, revealing new paths, new possibilities, and, above all, to our infinite capacity to grow and develop and to make an impact on the world in a more authentic and meaningful life. He comments that it makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the transformation that we're talking about, not just a change in the surface, an adaptation of the moment to look better or to meet the expectations of external stakeholders. It is, in fact, It is a silent revolution that is happening in our inner being, and a real reshape how we see the world and the people, and of course, we are the same. Many of the times, and that change starts with one simple decision: to stop, to react instantly to situations, and to let negative emotions rule over you today. It is as though, all of a sudden, we realize that our true strength lies in the ability to choose how to respond to the adversities of life, rather than getting carried away by impulse or by the feeling of a momentary end. This is a new mindset that looks so simple at first glance. It requires a courage that few of us are willing to take, because deep down, that she demands a confrontation with our own limiting beliefs, the ones that you often don't even realize that we have as a child. These beliefs in the occult that help to shape the way we think and act in the course of the year, and often act as vectors of the invisible that prevent us from moving forward to believe in our own potential. Here comes the importance of understanding the behind the scenes of this transformation. Immerse yourself in the basement of your subconscious mind and find out what's really behind the choices we make. After all, change Change is not simply a change of clothes or doing a routine. It is a journey of self-discovery, of revelation to the internal, which can be uncomfortable, but at the same time, it is liberating. When you realize that the truth is hidden, we begin to realize that each and every decision, however small it may seem to you, it's a chance to rewrite our history. And as more and more aware of these choices, the more aligned we are with who we really are. It is a kind of impact is quiet, which over time, it is shaping our reality in a way that seemed to be impossible. In the process, and the revelations come as the natural consequences of a wholehearted commitment to the advancement of people. We have found that we are more powerful than we imagined, and that our possibilities are endless, and that is to take care of your mind, you're also taking care of an impact we can have on the world. This is a journey of transformation, so this is not something that happens overnight. It is a journey of small efforts to make daily decisions that are going to building a new mindset. Each and every step is like a seed planted in the direction of living a life that is more authentic, more fulfilling, and where the real power lies in our ability to decide who you want to be, regardless of the external circumstances. And it is precisely because of this sort of turning point where things start to make sense, because we see the change that we seek out only happens when she's going on inside of us. And this find, many times, and it really boosted our journey of evolution, a journey that is never ending, ever deeper, ever, revealing a new layer of potential for the truth. He writes in, I'm on this journey too. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is exactly at this moment, understanding that a lot of people are beginning to realize the true essence of transformation. This is not just about achieving a goal, an external, such as a successful career, a lifestyle change, or an achievement such material. These are, in fact, a consequence of an internal change that happens to a revolution in the mindset, values, and the ways in which we connect with the world around us. When we understand that the impact that we want to build on to the external environment is born out of a genuine internal revolution, it all starts to make sense. And it is often what is revealed in the deeper layers of our own potential, of what, until then, had seemed almost out of reach. A journey of self-discovery and inner transformation is about having the courage to face up to the truth hidden within each and every one of us. It is necessary to explore behind the scenes of our mind and find out what is the limiting belief that oftentimes they quietly shape our choices and our feelings and emotions. These beliefs are like the roots, which, although invisible, to support the entire structure of our reality. When we are made aware of them, we can begin to question the validity of such truths as are imposed by the past, the experiences, the cultural patterns, and in doing so, we open up space for new possibilities to emerge. The more you are aligned with who we truly are and who we can become. It is at this point that the transformation starts to gain momentum, because we understand that the impact does not only depend on the external actions, but also a change in the stance of the mental and emotional states. The mindset of abundance, for instance, does not arise out of nowhere. It is constructed in step by step from a conscious decision to replace the thoughts of limitation for claims of intellectual potential, confidence in one's own ability to evolve, and to embrace their imperfections as part of the process. This change in mindset has a direct impact on the way we think about some of the obstacles, difficulties, and even to one's own failures. When we see these moments as opportunities for growth, and the power becomes, and the universe responds in a way that seemed to be impossible. And it is precisely at this point that the impact of it becomes a natural consequence of this new policy on the inside. When you get to act with authenticity, purpose, and alignment with your deepest values, your day-to-day becomes more fluid, more lightweight. Their decisions before it would seem to be a difficult or desmotivantes if you make a clear and decisive, because you have started to rely more on itself and on its own the truth. And when you do that, you can play with the atmosphere around you, because of this inner transformation is reflected in your attitude, your body language, your energy. The impact that you make in the lives of the people around you, it's proof that the real change begins from the inside to the outside, and that it is a continuous journey full of revelations and new opportunities. Now, I want you to go even deeper on this topic, because a lot of the times we forget that this is an inner change requires patience and compassion. It is common to want quick results. You want to change instantly, but hide is it that the most significant changes that take place in the rhythm of the heart, in harmony with our own nature. On this journey of evolution, it is made up of small, daily decisions. The choices are aware of the fact that, when added together, they build a new narrative for your life, and that narrative will only become stronger when we allow ourselves to live in the present, with all its imperfections, knowing that with each step closer to becoming better versions of ourselves. In the process, we also found that vulnerability is not a weakness, but as a bridge to a true connection with the world and with other people. When we allow ourselves to feel and express our doubts, our fears, and our emotions in a more honest, we've created a bridge to the authenticity of the strengths of our journey of transformation, and at the same time, it reveals the hidden truths that many of the times we tried to hide it, as if they were obstacles to be avoided. But in fact, it is these moments of vulnerability that we can connect you with the most deep within us, to allow us to see beyond the surface, to access a level of consciousness to a much higher level. And in this connection, the deeper it also gives us a new perspective on the choices that we make on a daily basis. We understand that each and every decision, however small it may seem, it is an opportunity to align with our inner truth. These are the little decisions that you have accumulated to shape our history and the impact that we leave on the world and the journey that we have embraced. When we realize that we are the protagonists of our own transformation, we are able to bring about a new reality, one that truly reflects who you really are and who we can become. And so, we are moving forward, always on the lookout for more new discoveries, more revelations, and a more in-depth understanding of the impact that we can make to embrace change from the inside to the outside. He writes in, "I'm on this journey too. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line because that's the true transformation happens not only with the external actions or changes to the surface. It is born out of a decision by the interior, with an understanding that goes beyond what we can see on the surface. Too often we get lost in the routines or stressful, and in patterns that seem to be unbreakable, realize that the real power of change lies in our mind and in our minds. It is as if behind every decision we make, there is an invisible layer of beliefs, values, and emotions that shape the way each and every step that we take. And this kind of many times, it's a big revelation, a cult, which removes or drives our development. If we think about it, the biggest battle that we fight are on our heads. That is, where are the boundaries that we have created for ourselves, for the reasons that we are not moving forward, the questions that seem to be insurmountable. But at the same time, it is here that we find the key to open the doors before it seemed to be locked. The transformation of the genuine demands that you let us question this belief, and that desafiemos of the thoughts that tell you that you're not able to, they don't deserve it, and that it is better to stay in your comfort zone. Because you are, in fact, all of the things that we believe, in large part, this is made in a way that we can deconstruct and to rebuild if they so choose. And herein lies one of the biggest revelations from the start, in a conscious decision to change the narrative that we tell ourselves, of course. When we see our own limitations and opportunities for growth, all change of perspective. Every obstacle becomes a lesson, and every failure is an opportunity to learn something new. This is a change of mentality. It's like a door that opens to a world of possibilities, and where the impact of the choices we make resonate in all aspects of our lives. It is not a question of luck or fate, but that of the decision-making, taking responsibility for one's own way. But of course that the journey of transformation is non-linear. It is full of ups and downs, moments of doubt, and for the clarity of small victories and large available. And with each step forward, however small it may seem to you, it's a statement that we are in control of our own destiny. It is in the constant movement that we find the true essence of growth. It is the courage to face up to what is deepest within us, to face up to the truths that a lot of times we would prefer to conceal or ignore them. And, in doing so, we are beginning to see the real impact that we can make, not just in our own lives, but also for those that are around us. When you think about all of this, we see that the transformation is a journey of self-discovery and a never-ending quest for authenticity and a version that is more in tune with who you really really are. And at the same time, it is an opportunity to reveal the truth hidden behind our fears and doubts. When we see the truth, it's lighter in weight, more real. And so we are moving forward with a heart that is open to new revelations are still to come, knowing that every step takes us above and beyond what we imagine to be possible. He writes in, "I'm on this journey too. I now want to go more in depth on this topic because they understand the truth, which is hidden by the back of our own limits. It's like opening a window that reveals a world of possibilities before you, invisible. Many of the times, we believe that our challenges are anything external, all of which just happen to you, but the reality is that they are often rooted in an internal narrative that we've built over time. In this narrative, one that is full of limiting beliefs and made us believe that we are not able to, and that the truth is far, far away, or the fear of it is a mountain. But in reality, it hides and reveals that this is all an illusion, a construct of the mind we can disassemble with a simple change of perspective. As we immerse ourselves in the journey of self-discovery, we've begun to realize that our greatest enemy is often ourselves, or rather in our own minds. And this is a turning point, because it gives us the power to change our reality by changing the way in which we interpret our experiences. It's like finding out a secret, guarded. They have always been right there, right in front of us, waiting to be discovered. When you begin to question those beliefs and to understand where they're coming out, we've created a kind of liberation to be silent, with a freedom that is not dependent on external factors, but internal decision to recognize what it really is true. This revelation has a direct impact on our journey of transformation because it invites us to think more deeply about what we truly want and who we really are. And then it all begins to make sense of the decisions that we make, the actions the dreams we put aside for fear of failure. Each and every one of those choices, this is an opportunity to reset our narrative, to rewrite the script of your own story. And the more you explore these truths built in, the more we come closer to a mindset that embraces the courage of an ally and of the knowledge of self as a gateway to economic growth. When faced with the truth that is hidden, we also find that the impact of our actions, it is not just the result of the work that we do, but we believe it's possible. It is a gear that moves the whole of our reality, and that it only works fully when we align with our beliefs, emotions, and decisions on what they want to achieve. On this understanding, it is a transformation of a silent, almost invisible, but it has a profound and long-lasting. And she takes us on a journey of discovery, in which each congregation is a one piece, which fits in perfectly with what we call the personal growth and the evolution that comes from the inside out. And to this day, like any great adventure, you have your hood, your secrets hidden in the shadows of what we do not see. These are details that, when revealed, will change your entire perspective, the way to become a lighter, more authentic. The truth is hidden. It is in the ability to see beyond what the eyes see and understand what's behind the smiles, the words, and even the emotions to surface. It is a process of arousal, connecting with a spirit of the deepest, where each and every obstacle becomes an opportunity to learn, and to each of the questions then becomes a stepping stone to a deeper understanding. And in this movement, we find that the impact of all of this is much more than we do ourselves. It affects the people around us, transform relationships, and inspire change in those who have not yet had the courage to look into the case. After all, it is the authenticity of which was born from this discovery. It has the power to motivate, to create a chain of processing that's going to expand, like a wave of quiet but powerful. And that's when we realize that our journey is not just about reaching goals, but also about to unveil our true selves, the one in the core, which has always been there, just waiting to be discovered and developed. Even so, this search for the truth hidden, it is not a straight line or in a way that it goes all at once. It is a process of layering. The discoveries are ongoing, in which each congregation opens up the space for new questions. And it is precisely because of this cycle of self-knowledge, that is, we find the strength to move forward, even when the challenges seem greater than our ability to comprehend. Because deep down, we know that every step taken in this direction, it is a seed of a greater change, a change of mindset that is going to shape all of our history. And even though there are still many unanswered questions, be sure that you are on the right path. Give us the courage to continue to explore every corner of this truth is hidden. That is, little by little, you will become an important part of our own selves. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, because it's just on this journey of discovery we begin to understand understand something that is often lost in the rush of day-to-day, the invisible force that guides our decision-making. This force, which we may call intuition, a vibration, or even in our subconscious, will have a fundamental role in the construction of who we are and the direction we have taken, even if they don't always realize it right away. It is as if, for each choice, there was a voice, a subtle revelation silent, they point the way. But that only becomes clear when you begin to pay attention to the little clues of daily life. The truth is hidden, and often it's right here. The way our thoughts and emotions are in harmony with those small signs of the universe is inside. When we were able to develop a much deeper connection with that part of us, you have access to a kind of internal map, a compass that guides us in the right direction, even in the face of the uncertainties of the obstacles or the appearance thereof. But this connection does not come out of nowhere. It requires a change in our way of thinking, a change in the way we see the world, and the difficulty, and even our own limitations. It is necessary, first of all, we realize that we have the potential, that inner strength, that, if properly used, can bring us to the levels of self-awareness that you have never imagined. In the process of transformation, the one that stands out the most is the need to make room for the revelations that have come from the inside out. It is as if, in the silence of the mind is sharper in the daily life, we can hear more clearly what it is that really matters. And there it goes, a concept that many often overlook: the importance of silence, the moment of self-reflection. After all, in the silence, many a times, we find the answers that were hidden beneath the hectic routine, under the constant doubt for those of you who haven't allowed yourself to listen to the sound of your voice. It is in this space of peace that is the true start of the show, revealing the ways that before would have seemed impossible or just good. At the same time, then this internal connection is challenging us to make choices that are more conscious of the decisions that are aligned with what you truly desire. It's not a magic trick or a trick, but a continual practice of self-awareness and the courage to take control of our narrative. Because at the core, we are all the protagonists of our story, but we often forget that the responsibility to run with by outside influences or by the fear of making a mistake. When we begin to understand that our actions have a direct impact on the quality of our journey, it all gets a whole new dimension. Every decision is a chance to strengthen the connection with the truth that is hidden, to say who we truly are, without masks or outside expectations. This is a journey of discovery, which many people describe it as a transformation. It's just that, a reconnection with what is most authentic in all of us. And from the moment that we start to look beyond the surface, to see the little clues the universe is built, we can begin to understand where the truth is hidden. It is not outside, but within each and every one of us. It's a matter of waking up to the potential that was always there, just waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. And that time is now. Because really, the things that separates us from our true power, it is only in our own strength, for fear of facing who we really are. But when we take that step of courage for the journey, it becomes a continuous discovery, an experience of growth, which drives us to keep on going even in the face of uncertainty. And in doing so, we are invited to explore the behind the scenes of your own mind, to discover the signs that are often hidden under a layer of questions, fears, and limitations are self-imposed. Because deep down, that's the real transformation, the one about waking up to the power that has always been inside of us, waiting to be let out, to have an impact on our history in a way that I never could have imagined. And so, each and every step that we take in this direction is the seed of a bigger change, a chance to rewrite our story, to find out the truth hidden, that is, in essence, has always been a part of who we are. And then, when you dive deeper into this universe is built, we find that the greatest change happens when we can align our decisions with the strength to be silent. This is the energy that pulses within each and every one of us. Then, it starts to make sense out of the journey, the obstacles, and revelations of the impact that each and every one of those pieces you have in the construction of a life more fulfilling and genuine. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me." Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the understanding of how the force is silent. In the guide, it's something that a lot of the times it is hidden beneath the layers of doubt, fear, and limiting beliefs. When we begin to see what really goes on behind our decision-making, we've realized that a big part of it is driven by a motor, an invisible, almost like a whisper, built in. If you don't pay attention to it, it has been ignored. It is our true essence, that part of you that knows our our deepest desires, our motivations are sincere, but it is often drowned out by the noise outside, so that others expect of us, or the fear of making a mistake. To understand this, we take an important step in the direction of the transformation. This is not just about changing the actions or behavior on the surface, but to make a genuine connection with that inner energy, to learn how to listen to her point of view, to rely on it. And that confidence, in turn, is built on the small, daily decisions, choices that seem to be simple, but they carry an enormous weight in the formation of our own destiny. Each of the decision-making that is aligned with that inner strength is like a seed planted in the fertile soil of our authenticity. Over time, it germinates, grows, and it becomes all about them. However, this process is not linear. Many of the times, we are faced with a paradox. The more we want to live according to the truth that is hidden, there is a natural resistance that comes up, a voice inside that tries to make us believe that the safer course is the one that has already been taken, even if you do not bring us to the realization of it is true. This resistance is the result of years of social conditioning, the expectation built in the course of a lifetime, and it acts as a wall, ceiling, that prevents us from moving forward in the direction of our own essence. Recognizing that it is the first step to overcoming it, and then it comes to the importance of open-mindedness, a willingness true. Get to know yourself and transform what needs to be changed. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that understand this dynamic. It's like uncovering a truth that hides it, which is often hidden in our own history. When we look back, we realize that many of the decisions that we make, which seem to be harmless, are actually the moments in which we choose between going along with the flow or resist it. Please listen to that quiet strength, or to ignore it. And in the process of this reflection, we can begin to understand that the journey of transformation, that is not a path to perfection, but about learning to be constant, small adjustments they can be added together to make a really big difference. It's not a radical change from one minute to the next, but in continuous evolution, supported by a more in-depth understanding of who we are. In fact, in the process, behind the scenes of our minds and our hearts are found to be in a scenario where the set of a battle, quietly, in between the fear of losing control and the courage to step into the unknown. The truth is hidden. It is that this is exactly what you need to do to unlock the potential that's hidden within you. And this release will only happen when we take responsibility for the choices we make, when we stop blaming the world or to the external environment through our challenges, and we started to take control of your own narrative. It is a movement of courage, authenticity, and it requires us to look within and recognize that change starts right there, in the decision of whether or not connected with such quiet strength, and let it lead you and guide you through the ways that really matter to you. And in doing so, we find that the transformation is not something you conquer at once, but it's a state of mind to continuing the journey of self-discovery that deepens with each step. It is as if each and every decision, however small it may seem to you, it was a piece of a jigsaw puzzle, the largest, showing the image of who we really are when we let go of the masks and the expectations of external stakeholders. At that time, everything fit, the obstacles too, the revelation, and of the choices. And with every step forward, it is clear that such a force is the driving force of a life that is aligned with what is most real to us. After all, to understand that this connection is what allows us to live with purpose, courage, and above all, with the truth. He writes in, "I'm on this journey too." If you've read this far, I want to thank you for following our conversation up until the very end. It's always good to know that together we can reflect, learn, and grow. I think that at the bottom of this journey, to show us the power that we seek out, many times it is already inside of us, ready to be discovered and used it with my life. And when you understand it, it's a lighter, more natural. So if you feel that this message was for you, leave a comment below, saying something like, "I'm on this journey too." It's always nice to know that we are not alone in this journey. If you enjoyed the content and found that it makes no sense, you take the chance to give it to the one you like, because it helps to strengthen the connection that we have created in the course of the movie. It is a way of showing that you value that one moment of change and self-reflection. And of course, there is the invitation for you to keep you with me in the next video. It is right here on the side, which complements this subject, so I click there and it keeps me here. Thus, our discussion does not end here. It just gets more interesting and full of possibilities. After all, it is the idea that this is a journey of self-discovery is a continuous, light-hearted, and that we learn more and more to rely on your inner strength. So, stay with me, goes to the next steps are, and we will go on together in this discovery. I hope to see you in the next video. Till then, remember, every step you take, I love more than yourself. It's a win-win. Thank you for being here until the end, and see you soon.